Today we're diving into a story called The Silent Echo of Us. It's really a modern tragedy, and it asks this absolutely devastating question: what happens when a truly pure connection gets crushed by the unmovable weight of class and society? So let's break down how this story builds its powerful, invisible walls, piece by piece. Right at the heart of this story, you have two worlds that are just complete opposites. On one side, you've got Ethan's golden cage, this life of incredible wealth, surrounded by skyscrapers. And on the other side, Maya's old cafe, a world that's quiet, simple, but so rich with books and dreams. You've got to understand, these aren't just different lifestyles, they are separate universes, and they're on a collision course.
Here with you.
So, our story kicks off in part one.
Beautiful,
Two
just
worlds
like you.
collide. This is the setup, the exposition, where we meet our characters and see that one little spark that's about to set their entire world on fire. And the contrast is just, wow, it's stuck. You've got Ethan Windsor, who is from the city's elite. His life is all about status, about wealth. Then there's Maya, a waitress whose life is built on ideas, on books, philosophy, and dreams. The story makes this massive gap between them so clear from the get-go. He has everything you can buy, while she has this richness of mind and spirit. And then, of course, comes the moment it all changes. It's a stormy night. There's a luxury car, a random stop at a small cafe. Ethan isn't looking for anything, really, just a cup of coffee. But in that one simple moment, he stumbles into Maya's world, and what captivates him isn't her looks, but the sight of her just completely lost in a book. This quote, this is the absolute core of their entire connection. I mean, think about it. For his whole life, Ethan has been seen as a Windsor, an heir, basically a walking bank account. And Maya, she's the first person to see past that golden cage and look directly at the man inside. That feeling of being truly seen becomes the foundation for everything that's about to happen. And that brings us to part two, a love against the tide. This is the rising action, where their own private world starts to blossom, but the pressure from the outside world, well, it begins to build, and the stakes get so much higher. For 6 beautiful months, they build this little, isolated world just for themselves. And look at how they connect. It's not through fancy dinners or extravagant dates. No, it's through simple, profound moments. Talking for hours on a park bench, her teaching him about art, him teaching her about the stars. They're creating a universe where only they exist, a place where their social status just doesn't matter. But Maya, she's a realist. She knows what they're up against. And she says something that is just so poetic, but also heartbreaking. She sees their love not as a bridge connecting them, but as a violent, self-destructive collision. That metaphor, the suicide of the waves, it shows her deepest fear. For their worlds to truly meet, something has to be destroyed. But Ethan's response, oh, it's just pure, unwavering commitment. He hears her tragic metaphor, and instead of running from it, he embraces it completely. He's not just willing to risk his money or his social standing, he's willing to face total destruction, to literally drown, as he says, just to be with her. And that just raises the emotional stakes to the absolute limit. And this brings us to the breaking point. Part 3,
I love
the
walking here with you.
unmovable wall.
Me too. It's magical.
This is
Look
the
at that
climax,
sky.
the
Beautiful,
moment their
just like
private
you.
love story crashes head first into that public wall of status and family. And believe me, this is the point of no return. And just like that, the outside world invades their little sanctuary. The Windsor family, led by Ethan's mother, Diana, they basically become the villains of the story. They don't see Maya as a person. To them, she's a threat to their dynasty, just an ordinary girl who has no place in their world. The storm they've been foreshadowing, well, it has finally arrived. What happens next is just, it's designed to be cruel, to be dehumanizing. Maya is summoned, not invited, summoned to a home that's described as a palace. It's a total power move, and there
I
she
love
is
walking
systematically
here with you.
humiliated.
Me too.
Her
It's
character,
magical.
Look at
their
that
love,
sky.
it's
Beautiful,
all
just like
reduced to
you.
a cold social calculation. She is told point blank, you are not worthy. And then comes the ultimate insult, the checkbook. This one action sums up the entire belief system of the Windsor's world, that everything and everyone has a price. They genuinely believe they can just write a check and make a real human connection disappear. It's literally trying to put a price tag on love. So when Maya refuses to be bought and Ethan rebels and stands by her, well, that's when the family shows its true power. This isn't just disapproval anymore, this is warfare. They don't just argue, they destroy lives. They shut down our father's business, ruin our family's reputation, and hunt the couple down without mercy. They're making it impossible for them to even exist. And in all of this, they have this crushing realization. They're not just fighting a family, they're fighting an unwritten but unbreakable rule of their society. The system might allow for the fantasy, the secret affair, but it will never, ever grant them the right to actually be together. This is the wall, and they can't break through it. This leads us inevitably to the final act. Part 4, a tragic victory. In the story's conclusion, we see them make their final choice, an act that the story frames not as a defeat, but as the only kind of victory they had left. So the final scene is set. They're on a cliff, Hudson Lookout, completely exhausted from running. They're literally cornered, overlooking the very world that rejected them. And in the background you can hear sirens closing in, the sound of that world coming to drag them back into its rules. They've run out of road, and they've run out of time. And Ethan asks this incredibly simple, yet profound question. Are you ready? There's no fear in his voice, no sadness, just this quiet calm. It's the question of two people who have made a decision together, a final act of control in a life where they've been given none. And Maya's answer, it just reframes everything. You see, their final act isn't really about ending their lives. It's about escaping to a place where the world's cruel measurements, your status, your wealth, your family name, they just don't exist. It's their ultimate statement of freedom. The final image is just haunting. The next morning, they're found in the ravine below, and their hands are still locked together. That one image is a symbol of their unbroken bond. Even in death, they're unified, having finally achieved the togetherness that life and society had denied them. It's their eternal union. So, how is their story remembered? Well, the world, through its newspapers, calls it a tragic failure, just two young people who couldn't cope. But the story's own legend, its own telling, frames it as an act of defiance. It argues that they didn't fail, they chose to embrace death in order to defeat a social system that was hollow and cruel. And that leaves us with this final lingering question to think about. The story really forces us to ask, if you're trapped in a system that has no escape routes, what does winning even look like? Is a tragic, defiant choice a greater victory than a long life of quiet surrender? That is the silent echo this story leaves behind.